to fog up. So the little button you see with the wire, that's a defroster. It turns out the first 5 orbiters did the job. And by that time, Kodak had built 7 of them. So this is one that was never sent up. Here comes the amazing part. This whole camera right here, the whole thing, weighs 35 pounds. Yeah,
Really?
and this is 1960s
Wow.
technology. Every one of us, if we could figure out how to grab the thing, we're strong enough, we could pick it up.
Yeah.
So pretty amazing stuff.
35 pounds?
35 pounds.
Oh.
All space-age metals. And here is one of the photographs that was taken by one of the orbiters, and you can see it's in strips. So it mapped out the surface so they could figure out where they could land something. This was all recorded on film. The film's in the back. And then it would scan the film and send it back with radio waves. So pretty amazing technology. As we come over this way, we look at an evolution of the cameras. And of course, what was going to happen? When I hold up my camera, phone, computer, you name it, and you think, what do you think these are going to be like in 100 years? Do you think people would even recognize this thing 100 years from now? They're going to look at this and think, you got to be kidding me. Yet, George Eastman invented film and came out with film in 1888, and that was the standard for cameras for over 100 years. For over 100 years, people held this little box in front of them, pushed a button, it was put onto film, and then you took your film out and sent it back to Kodak to be developed. And then along came, ready for a dirty word? The D word. Digital.
Why did you get rid of your Kodachrome, the best film, best slides ever?
Because, well, digital. Nobody's using film. If people still wanted to buy film in the volume that they used to, Kodak would still be making it.
Right.
But kids today, did you notice the big portrait of George Eastman out in the lobby?
Yes.
It is made out of individual slides. When I have school groups, I have to explain to them what a slide was. They had no clue. You mean it was like a little cardboard thing? Well, yeah. And you put it in something called a carousel projector and a light bulb projected. Young people today, they have no concept of a flash bulb. You mean you put a bulb in the camera, took one picture, and then had to throw the bulb away and put another one in? Yeah. And when they came out with a flash cube, 4 bulbs in one. That was amazing stuff.
I mean, we're talking about digital, but I think, if I remember correctly, you were the first introduce the digital camera to the world. Huh?
Yes. Sadly, for Eastman Kodak, they made the mistake of inventing digital photography. Steve Sasson, an engineer for Kodak, in 1975, came up with the process. The original idea of it came from Bell Laboratories in 1969, which was called a CCD, a charge-coupled device. Kodak had this young engineer see if there was any application to photography. He came up with the first digital camera. It's about that big. And he said to Kodak, "It is my opinion that this could have a significant impact on photography in the future." Now, here in Rochester, at Eastman Kodak, we had almost 70,000 people employed in over 300 buildings, all of them making film, developing film, making film cameras, making the paper to print the film, making the chemicals to develop the film. And here comes a report that says, you know, we might not need film in the future. What was Kodak going to do? Well, they sat on it. They leased the patents to non-camera companies, thinking that at least this won't come back and bite us. They leased it to Texas Instruments, to Samsung, to Sony, and by the 1990s, the patents had expired. And these companies had now taken it and just ran with it. Mine's an Apple. Most cameras today are not made by your traditional camera companies. Eastman Kodak today employs here in Rochester about 3,500 people. down from 70,000. Yeah, that's what
What-
digital
they
did.
Make, they make camera mostly, or?
No, Eastman Kodak hasn't made a camera since 2004. I have a Eastman Kodak digital Easyshare camera that on the back says made in China, designed in Japan for Eastman Kodak in Rochester, New York, USA.
Oh my God.
George Eastman would roll over in his urn at the thought of a Kodak camera that wasn't made by Kodak, but they leased the name.
So the fact that I have Kodak means that I'm old.
You said that. I would never. Yeah. I'll bet you even know what a Brownie camera was.
I think my dad had.
Okay, how about an Instamatic? Yeah. The Brownie was made up until 1968
My
or
dad
60,
had.
63, and then the Instamatic replaced that until the 1990s. And the Instamatic was the one that had the flash tube. And then came in digital, and those digital cameras. Kodak now, they still have some valuable patents, but they're completely out of the photography game. They are now making touch screens for industry and making printing, digital printing machines for industry. There isn't anything they make that you walk into a store and buy.
You're not going to stop making
Making
try.
the film, Kodak doesn't make film. Kodak is out of film with one exception. They still make motion picture film. Kodak leases that. Kodak leases it.
That was a Kodak booth, very small.
And if you look at the products, you will see, for example, the Kodak cameras that you can buy in grocery stores today. Look at the back, made in Brazil, leased to a South American firm. Oh, it has changed immensely. Let me show you the first Kodak camera. That's it right there. That was the very first successful Kodak camera.
Wow.
And now
This one?
I happen to be I happen to be a retired teacher, so here comes the teacher out in me. Who can tell me?
You retired so young?
Oh, I knew I liked you. Who can tell me what the word Kodak means? Nothing.
What language is it?
Nothing. George Eastman made up the word. He made up the word. He said that he thought the letter K was an aggressive sound, and he liked that word because he said it couldn't possibly be confused with any other brand of anything, and it couldn't possibly be mispronounced. That camera came out in 1888 with a roll of 100 exposure film, and it cost $25. And in 1888, the average American worker made $2.31 a week. So that was only
Who
a
had
week.
this camera actually?
Rich people.
Just
That's it.
but you know how many cameras there were?
Not many, but that got George Eastman. He wanted to get cameras into the hands of everybody. So 12 years later, he introduced the Brownie camera. These are all different Brownies. And they started in 1900, they sold for $1.
Which one did you say
This one.
That one right there. That one. And all of these Brownies, there were over 100 different models made. They were named for a little cartoon character that was called Brownie. It was little and it was cute.
Oh my God, this is famous.
These.
This is a lot of paparazzi used to have this.
Oh. Some of the
I'm
most
not
famous
kidding.
pictures ever
No,
taken by average people were taken on Brownie
If you
cameras.
see the paparazzi during the 60s and the 70s, they had all this.
Oh yes, because they didn't want to have the
big,
big professional
yeah.
cameras. They wanted to sneak up on somebody and pull something out of their pocket and snap the picture before the bodyguards,
And because in Rome there are so many paparazzi. So
Oh.
the movies,
That were
they
cheap
have,
stuff.
yeah, they
And-
have
Way
all
of the
these
world.
cameras.
And it's so sad because because
By few.
these paparazzi, then they go after the
That's
movie
our show.
stars' children.
Just a few.
Yeah.
I mean, it's intriguing.
That's why Alec Baldwin wants to leave New York. You know?
Now, did you know that there was a time when
He's
all,
right.
all
It should be illegal.
were sold?
Paparazzi
So
should
you
be
would do us a
illegal.
favor, maybe.
Up
He's a
until
very
the
good man.
1930s, women didn't buy cameras.
Actually.
It was they didn't know, and that probably had a lot to do with it. And in 1929, Eastman Kodak came out with a camera that they tried to make for women.
That was this.
There it is, the ensemble.
Oh my God.
Of course, it's
So
pink.
pink.
It has a mirror. It has a tube of lipstick. It has a little powder.
Oh my God.
It didn't work at all. Women didn't fall for that at all.
I wouldn't fall either.
No, but you got to remember
I
though.
would. I am a
No,
woman.
I would
totally.
The following year, they came out with that blue one that was sort of like an Art Deco. Again, trying to
That
make
was
it
so cute.
pretty for women. It didn't work either. Yet, something has happened because today, we don't even think of a camera being a male-female thing. That gender isn't even a factor.
There's no sex.
Here are the old...
But this is wrong because I would buy a camera that is with color or something pretty.
I think today you would.
Yeah.
I think at that time, it was so obvious what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They were sort of suggesting that women are so superficial that if you make it pink, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
Well, now today, you make a pink camera, some men will buy it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Just for the color.
some of the old spy cameras. I love this one. That great big box camera. People knew you had a picture. But if I were going to, let's say I'm going to take your picture with that box camera. Smile. Click. What just happened was, I didn't take your picture. I took yours. All of this stuff out here is fake. That little hole on the side is actually the lens. So everyone knew you had a camera. What they didn't realize was who's standing in front of your camera isn't who's getting their picture taken. The person over here is.
Oh my God.
But here's why some of
The
these...
book is fantastic.
Oh, well, but some of these cameras were a joke.
The
Look
gun.
at that. A handgun with
I
a camera.
hope that was a joke.
Oh, I mean, pull that out in a crowd like no one's going to notice. And then you point it at somebody to take their picture. The toy cameras. These all used Kodak film.
So the fact I remember this means that I am old.
That,
1999.
remember the Polaroid?
I was just born.
The Polaroid? That's a Polaroid.
Yeah, I know.
The Taz.
My niece has.
The best-selling? The Snoopy-Matic.
We did the 4 flash, no?
Yes.
The cube.
That's the flash cube.
Uh-huh.
And it rotates 90 degrees with each.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just amazing. 4 flash bulbs in one. And it came in packs of 3, so you literally had 12 pictures with
Pokemon, I remember.
Oh.
That was not too...
Oh,
1999.
many of these are, many of these are in the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
In fact, just about all of these were. And over here,
In fact, I am 26, so this is why I remember.
yeah, so I'm only a couple years older than you.
I knew.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
so lucky that you're retired already.
I'll bet you know who this is.
Marilyn.
Yes. When I ask young people today on tours, who can tell me who this is? You know what I hear? Lady Gaga.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This photograph was taken by the famous portrait photographer Nicholas Marais, and this is the very camera that took that picture.
That is huge. Was he able to do all this?
Oh no, it was that was in his studio. This is not the camera you take with you on a vacation.
Yeah,
It was
definitely
in the
not.
studio on a tripod.
Wow.
That camera weighs 22 pounds. But here's
Almost like the lunar thing.
exactly, it's almost as heavy.
Oh, my God.
This is
I can't believe Lady Gaga.
our most famous camera right here.
It's so frustrating.
This is Joe Rosenthal's camera. This is the very camera that took that picture. A very famous picture at Iwo Jima. These 5 photographs were taken by these 5 cameras. And the families of the photographers donated the cameras to us. Because once again, they know we preserve them and take good care of
The
them.
anecdotes, but the website.
This is a very famous picture.
Oh, yes. A very famous picture.
Famous pictures like that.
Now, if we will continue, we're going to go out and walk down through one of the galleries.